Hello guys, I'm Fizzy and welcome to a brand new league race series on my channel. This is the AOR Formula Renault 3.5 league on Project Cars, the PC version of the game, and well, it's a new league that has just been set up. We have a full grid of 24 drivers ready to get racing here, and I am making my return as a driver on this game by taking part in this league instead of only being a commentator as I've been for the past season of the GT3s. And while you are watching my fastest qualifying lap from the quality session for the feature race, I will give you some quick information about the league. Obviously I mentioned the feature race. There is a 2 races per week format in this league. Per race meeting we have first a feature race of around 30 minutes and then a sprint race of around 15 minutes following it straight afterwards, both with a 10-minute qualifying session beforehand. So quite a bit of racing action to be had. The feature race, of course, being a bit more important in the sense that it gives more points, 25 for a win, whereas the sprint race gives 15 points for a win. Pretty similar to, those the GP2 series from real life. We are of course using the Formula Renault 3.5 car, which is part of a DLC pack on Project Cars, but luckily a lot of people have it, and it's a very fun car to drive. And interestingly, for this league we are using default setups. Everyone are locked to default setups, which is one of the things that personally drew me to sign up, because usually I can't really be asked too much with working out setups and stuff. Not only because I don't have too much time, but usually, I'm of the mindset that I want to be a driver and not an engineer. And as a driver around here at Silverstone, I did surprisingly well by taking pole position for the feature race, over 2.5 tenths ahead of P2 on the grid, which honestly is way more than I expected. I went into this not knowing at all my own pace relative to the other drivers, and apparently I'm fast enough around Silverstone to get pole. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And now the lights are about to go out for the first race of this league, and it wasn't the best reaction to the lights. You can see Pedro's flown up from P2 spot straight into the lead past me, and I think I got to Jay as well, or AJ even, and one of them up my inside, maybe to Jay actually, because he's driving that red car. You can see my right mirror leaving space. Oh my word, that was a car flying through. Not sure, I couldn't quite catch who that was, but someone completely missing their braking point there, or potentially getting hit. Luckily not taking me out there, because that was a bit scary. But you can see Pedro is getting away a little bit. It's been a kind of a slow start considering I started on pole, but I now got to Jay, kind of looking up the inside through Brooklyn. Gonna have to leave him a little bit of room while trying to carry the momentum on the outside, and the inside then for God, what is his corner name again? I always forget. Lovefield, is that right? Hopefully it is. And definitely know this kink is woodcut, because I was sitting to the left, on the grandstand on the left, for the Formula 1 race last year. But anyway, defending a little bit more from today, going through Cops now. And luckily he's backed out of that one. So we are in P2, but Pedro's already pulled 2.2 seconds ahead of us. He's really blitzed the start as we now go through the lovely Maggots and Beckett complex. And oh, today has completely disappeared behind us now. He must have made a mistake going through there. He is not the car behind anymore. It's AJ now, a fellow AOR moderator, who is now 7 tenths of a second behind. And with Pedro 2 seconds ahead though, all we can really do now is try to focus on him. While still being wary of AJ behind, of course, but all we can do is try to push now and try to close that gap. Based on qualifying, I don't know whether Pedro managed to match his potential in qualifying, or whether I actually have the pace in him, but we shall see. 1.9 seconds, we have closed the gap just a tiny bit in the final part of this lap. Flat out through turn 1 here in this car. Very nice drive indeed. And you can see as we skip to lap 3 now, we have closed the gap a little bit. 9 tenths now, but going through Maggots, there was a bit of drama because there were 2 slow cars trying to recover. Clearly not having much power in those cars anymore, as they were unable to move from the racing line there. Luckily we managed to both see it in time and avoid it. Did cost me a bit of time though. You can see I went from being 9 tenths behind to being 1.6 behind, but then after a couple more laps I managed to close the gap again to 8 tenths. So while also pulling away from P3 as you can see, and Pedro's made a mistake through Lovefield now, sliding a bit on the outside, missing the apex completely. He's gotten a reasonable exit though by being so far out wide, so he's not lost too many tenths, but and he did actually even gain some of that back on lap 8 now, coming through the towards the halfway point of the race. just trying to get close and try and apply some pressure to Pedro, because 9 seconds now to AJ behind. Really, it is turned into two-way scrap. But you can see on the left there, just passing by Andrex, who is my teammate in the Panasonic team for this league. We're using the in-game liveries as the teams. Oh, and Pedro's had a moment there on the curb on the outside of Cops, the old classic turn 1 of Silverstone, and that's allowed us to close up a little bit more. Missing the apex a little bit there though. It's just like when I closed up before. I couldn't quite take advantage, just getting a bit too, I don't know, excited about being that close maybe. That's another backmarker lets us nicely through there on the straight. He was down in P18, so no points for him at this point. Points to score down to 12th place in the feature race, and then down to 10th in the sprint race. So now getting very close through the final chicane on lap number 8, and Pedro's missed apex slightly, got hard on the curve there as well. He's not got the best exit there. We might have an opportunity coming down into turn number 1 with a slipstream and with the DRS of course as well. I haven't mentioned it, but there is DRS in this car as well, and we have gotten the inside line. Pedro backs out of it. We have gotten the lead back of this race, which we lost, you know, after 1 second in the race, and now we are finally back in it with Pedro in second place. And yeah, I mentioned DRS. DRS can be used anywhere on the track. There is no restriction on this game with regards to where you can use DRS, so we basically just have to try to remember to apply it whenever we can, which is whenever there's a straight. And then it will, of course, like with the F1 cars, close when you apply the brakes automatically. But there are a few corners around there actually where you have to close it manually because you don't brake on into the corner. Maggots being one of them, and also turn 1 as well. So just makes it a little bit more tricky, but you know, using the DRS on the straight obviously gains you a bit more time, so it's worth remembering to do it. Nice amount of speed through Cops once again. Pedro's dropped a little bit off there. He's now 0.6 of a second behind, and you can see in the mirror back there, Pedro's actually went into the pit lane, which is an interesting one because obviously the tires, you can see in the bottom right that the tire wear is certainly a thing, especially the front left tires are wearing quite a lot. But I had done a practice run of 18 laps, which is the length of the feature race, before this, and I had decided that I didn't need to pit, even though the wear was quite a lot. But now on lap 17, just starting it, making a mistake. I nearly shit my pants there actually as it happened. It was pretty scary. I got a cut track penalty for going wide there, even though I didn't really gain any time. That's how it is. Luckily, I have a big gap to Pedro. You know, despite pitting for fresher tires and being a little bit better on pace, the drop-off for me wasn't high enough for me to lose anywhere near the amount of time that he needed to catch me back up. And you can see, coming through the final corners on the final lap now, just cruising really in the second part of the race after Pedro pitted, in order to preserve the tires a little bit and not drop off. And we have managed to do what we needed to win the opening round of the Formula Renault 3.5 League in Apex Online Racing. And well, that is my first league victory for absolute ages, I think. Certainly over a year in a proper AOR league. And yeah, pretty happy with that. Not going to lie. 18.6 seconds ahead of Pedro. And then there was quite a bit of drama, I think, going up and down the field. Quite a few DNFs. And yeah, a lot of battling further back. So the gap the rest of the field was quite big for me. Now we are in qualifying for the sprint race, which is also a 10-minute session. And you can see I just crossed the line there actually to start my final lap with just over 1:40 on the clock. You don't get to finish the time you have started when the session time runs out in this on this game. So basically I started the lap with 1 second to spare pretty much in order to get the final lap in. I mean, I already had P1 provisionally at this point of the session with a 1:40.5, I believe, which is already a 10th improvement on the time I took pole with in the first race. But you can see I actually had a really good qualifying lap here for the sprint race, just with barely any time left to go in the session, going around the final few corners, trying to improve. I'm already 0.6 up. You can see the delta in the top right on my previous lap, and going across the line, we have done a 1:40 flat to take pole position by 0.6 of a second. Really happy with that lap. No idea where that came from, to be perfectly honest with you. Very close to breaking into the 39s as well, which would have been nice to have done. But of course, I didn't really need to do any more to get pole. So can we get a better start this time? That is the question. No, clearly not, because that was, again, like a second delay on my reaction to the green lights there. I really need to work on that. I've already lost 3 positions into turn 1. Oh my dear, it's all going wrong here. Pedro's flown through, Today has flown through, Saint Travolta's flown through, and there's Karma inside as well. That is Gibbs going up the inside there, and not really too many places for me to go, because they're too wide ahead of me now, going through turn number 4. So we're going to have to settle back into P5 then. That is a horrific start by me. Getting a decent launch onto the straight, so maybe getting a chance on Saint Travolta. No, not closing anymore at the end of the straight, but he's gone wide there, completely, maybe he braked a little bit late and was scared of hitting Gibbs and went wide in order to just make sure to avoid that contact. So we are back up to P4. And yeah, not quite as many points up for grabs in the sprint chase as I mentioned. 15 for a win, whereas it was 25 that I got for winning the first race. But, you know, still important. It could be for the championship. I mean, at this point, I'm of course leading the championship. Going into this race, nearly losing the back end there as well. Which, luckily I saved. Losing time to Gibbs, so 45 tenths of a second ahead. You can see the top 2. Today has taken a lead from Pedro. They're really scrapping it out for first place right now. Well, I'm trying to just catch in on Gibbs and pass him as he has a moment. Oh, we've gone to the grass to avoid him there. I just spotted just in time that he lost it to the left and then snapped back to the right, spinning back towards me. I had to go off the track to avoid it. Definitely didn't give me any time, but it did give me a position, of course, with Gibbs losing that, unfortunately for him. Saint Travolta still very close behind, and there's battling still going on between Pedro and Today for the lead up ahead. They're really holding each other up. There was, you know, after the Gibbs incidents, I was 4 seconds behind, and now I'm just 8 tenths behind Pedro, as he has had a moment again through left field, just like he had in the feature race, which has allowed Today to get a little bit of a gap out in the lead. Today who DNF'd the first race. Oh my, speaking of DNF, it's a bit of a poop in the pants moment there for me again. I think I turned in too early there. The arrest wasn't fully closed as I turned into the corner, and this is going to really put us on the back foot. My teammate Andrex, who luckily has a much better race this time around, is up to P4 ahead of me. Can we defend from Estebano, who's also coming from behind? Yeah, luckily we've slotted in ahead of him, but behind a teammate. So on lap 4 out of 9 in this race, that has not helped whatsoever. Down in P5, and Estebano having a look now up through Brookeland, just leaving him a little bit of room there once again to make sure no dramas. Andre's going wide there, but cutting back in for a good exit. So I guess the question now, can we have a nice little teammate battle? We really need to get through Andrex as fast as possible, to be honest, if we want to have any chances of a podium in this race, because you can see on the minimap in the top left that the gap now to Saint Travolta in third is quite massive. So just trying to line up a good exit out of Beckett Saren through Chapel. A little bit too far back, I thought. Maybe a little bit slipstream can help. But Andrex actually came on the microphone on this stage and told me to go up the inside. So being a very, very nice teammate there is Andrex, allowing me to take the position. I really appreciate that. You know, yeah, maybe I realized, you know, I had been faster on pace throughout the night, and maybe if he let me through, there was a chance for some more points for the team if I could catch up to the guys ahead. And there was about 4 seconds worth of a gap with 5 laps to go. Then I closed that. You can see now with 2 laps to go, it's down to 2. So I've halved that gap in 3 laps, and then another 8 tenths gained going on to the final lap. So those previous few laps was all about me just pushing as hard as I possibly could to try and close the gap. And I really enjoyed driving this. It was a very intense chase to try and get close to P3, and you can see we are within a second now, as we have less than a lap left to go. So can we get Saint Travolta for 3rd place in this race? The top 2 still battling out ahead, but are a bit too far ahead now for you know, to be really worried about me, unless they have an incident, of course, in which case this could turn into battle for the lead, but I wouldn't expect that to happen with Pedro and Today, 2 very nice and clean drivers. So halfway through the lap now, half a lap to go in the race. It's a matter of, I think 3rd place here gives 10 points, whereas 4th gives 8. So a couple of extra points in the bag if I can get Ice and Revolt, and he's had a moment there on the curb. There was a car off there, off the track there as well. Not having a great day, but can we get close enough through Beckett's section? Losing the apex a little bit there, but getting it terminated regardless, and he's missing the apex actually. We get a better exit onto the hangar straight for the final time here. Can we get the slipstream? Ice and Revolt's gonna go defensive here, I think. He's indeed. We're gonna have to pull to the outside and trying to go around the outside, trying to be as late as possible on the brakes. Can we hold it around the outside with just a few corners to go in the race? We can actually. We have done it. We are side by side, claiming the inside line for the chicane, and he's backed out of it. We are up to P3. Really pumped with that move, to be honest with you. That was really great. Ice and Revolto getting a good exit. So can he get close enough? We're just trying to take the shortest route to the line, and we managed to hang on for P3 in the sprint race after an intense chase that we just managed to complete with a few corners to go, as our AOR driver still wants to keep the battle going there after crossing the line. Whew, Pedro actually got back past the header today to take the win of that race. And yeah, I got third ahead of Ice and Revolt. Some good battling there at the end, with my teammate Andrex getting 6th place at the finish as well for some more team points. And here are the standings after the first 2 races. There is 16 races overall, 8 weeks of course. And look at the gap at the top. I'm only 2 points ahead of Pedro, actually, because he finished 2nd in the feature race and 1st is in the sprint race, which gives exactly the same amount of points as what I got from finishing 1st in the feature race and 3rd in the sprint race. But the reason that I am 2 points ahead is that I got some bonus points for pole position. There is a bonus point for pole in the feature race and a bonus point for pole in the sprint race. And that is what is just keeping me in the lead of the championship right now, which is way more than I expected to get going into this event, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a good day of racing here in my debut league race in the Formula Renault 3.5, and next week we will be back with some more racing at Monza for another couple of races there. So hopefully that's a track that will suit me, and where we can have a couple of more good performances. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed the racing, and that you will keep following how I get on in this league. So until next week guys, I hope you have a good time, and I will see you later.